Hello and welcome to BOI Weekly. I am Kayode Alayande. Just a few weeks back, honorable members of the House of Representatives Committee on Industry, chaired by Honorable Abubakar Moriki, visited the Bank of Industry as part of its oversight responsibility. During the two-day exercise, committee members engaged the BOI management with a view to assessing the impact of the bank's policies, operation and service delivery to the people. Not only that, they visited some projects in Lagos and Port Harcourt that have benefited from the bank's interventions and interacted directly with the chief promoters of the businesses. Today on the program, we bring you on the train as the Committee on Industry from the upper legislative arm, the Senate, performs its own leg of the oversight function at the Bank of Industry. Stay close.
Starting your business shouldn't be a scare when you have the right support. Support that helps you grow. Support that helps you expand beyond borders. And this support extends to every single person on the value chain. All the way down to the leaders of the next generation. At Bank of Industry, we believe that supporting one is supporting all, with a system set up to provide financial and advisory support for growing and large businesses. Visit any of our offices, website or social media pages to get in on how you can benefit from this today. Bank of Industry, transforming Nigeria's industrial sector.
In a democracy, the legislature is an institution which represents the common and collective interests of the citizens through the enactment of laws and the exercise of oversight functions on the activities of the executive arm of government. The oversight function includes the review, monitoring, and supervision of federal ministries, departments, and agencies, their programs, activities, and policy implementation. The National Assembly in Nigeria exercises this power largely through its congressional committee system. This is to ensure that the executive arm of government and its subsidiaries function effectively and deliver the dividends of democracy. Recently, the Senate Committee on Industry visited the Bank of Industry's headquarters in Lagos to perform its oversight engagements with the management of the bank. This is going to be a different kind of oversight assignment. What began as a coffee meeting would turn out to be a long, hard day spent on the field from the home of furniture to the bakery. The senators visited 4 different projects supported by the bank, assessing the impact of intervention and personally engaging the chief promoters of the businesses. The first port of call is IO Furniture, a leading furniture manufacturing and interior design consultancy company sitting in the heart of Ilupeju Industrial Estate. The MD CEO, Muni Shonibare, welcomes the lawmakers and leads the way as they take a quick tour around the facility. Please note, everything you'll see here is designed and constructed locally. Once settled, Chairman of the committee, Senator Samegu, explains the crux of their visit.
We're going to see the industries they are assisted, they are funded, whereas by the mandate given to them to be able to assist industrialists, manufacturers, Nigerians to be able to stand on them, thereby reducing a level of foreign exchange that normally goes on importation of goods and services. And furniture, you know, the very, very important aspects where our foreign exchange is wasted. So we're happy to come to your company to see how you are faring and possibly to know whether you are satisfied with the level of government intervention. And then we're able to see how far have we been able to upscale the business, especially to see how it also meets international standard, because that's exactly the main aim. Because, you know, if we're talking about patronizing Nigerian made in Nigerian goods, we have to talk about the standards, not just patronizing, we have to meet the standard we expect. That's basically in summary one way.
Mrs. Shonibare responds, chronicling her company's rewarding relationship with the Bank of Industry. But with this caliber of guests, who wouldn't remember the challenges?
I want to thank BOI, because if it were not for the intervention, I don't think we would exist as a company, for the very simple reason that we had to take out a loan, a facility, to set up the industry. And the commercial banks, as we all know, are the lending rate of the commercial banks is at, right now, I think when we started it was 26%. It was just not sustainable. And then luckily with the intervention funds and with BOI, we actually got the facility at 7%. And I'm also proud to say that we've been able to pay back. I think we've got an outstanding, we took a 600 million naira loan, and we to date we've got about 24 million left. As a matter of fact, yes, but that's also because it's a single digit. So it's, you know, what can pay, and to say that we're actually going back to BOI to borrow some more, because we want to scale up. We actually want to increase our capacity, and part of that, in increasing that capacity building, part of it is to ensure that we set up a proper training program so that we can begin to bridge the skills gap that currently exists in the industry. The greatest challenge that we have is in getting the skilled labor, and it wasn't something that we thought of that was going to be an issue, but we have since found out that we also have to set up a sort of a completely separate training program to ensure that we begin to produce items that meet global quality standards. So that's a major issue and major consideration. We have to be careful that policies are formulated that will also protect our own industry so that we can grow in the correct manner. Because we find that right now we're currently competing with the Chinese market, and we can't. We cannot compete with their prices, you know, because they actually invest in their. I'm aware that China, for instance, every year they've got over 1,000 technical schools, and every year they enroll about 11 million people in their technical schools with the support of government to ensure that they set up programs that will support the local industry. So those are the sort of challenges that we are faced with.
And she has recommendations too.
We need patronage. It's one thing to set up the industry, and it's another thing for our own people not to patronize us first. We must be our own. We must stop at our own, using our own people first.
The senators reply.
Give us an idea, bring that input, and give you our email. When the chairman came, or when the bill goes to public hearing, we'll likely invite you and bring your input. Make it
I guarantee you've just made my day.
The purpose of that bill is the government is the greatest spender of fund. To every budget, it's a lot of money goes into the budget. Part of that bill is to make sure that for anything government wants to buy, including furniture, they must first of all look inward. It's only where they don't get those things in Nigeria that they can look outside. Right. So the moment that law comes to effect, you find out that we won't even be made the demands from government parastatals.
But more importantly, they are impressed, and they show it.
This Committee of Industries it's only the mandate does not only, it's not confined to only the BOI, but the entire industrial arrangement in the country. So this is the kind of thing we want in this country. We can have 1,000 of this kind of entity, then we're home and dry. So I just want to see how impressed I am. I want to urge you to
Thank you very much.
Checking out of the IO Furniture headquarters, the senators head to another business run by a woman. This time, it's a garment industry under the brand name Ruff and Tumble. The chief promoter is Mrs. Adenike Ogunlesi, who's been manufacturing quality children's clothing for 20 years in Nigeria.
You need a lot more money to set the textile manufacturers going than you need to set us going. We would like to find a way to bring in the fabrics that we require. We build capacity locally, and we can do a backward integration thing when the textile manufacturers see that there is a ready market for these things. And my example is always that there must be at least 1 million people in Lagos who wear white shirts, and there isn't a single shirt-making factory in the whole of Lagos. I don't know what happens in the East. I think there are some, but they cannot supply the needs of Lagos. One factory making shirts means that there's a factory making as many as 1 million shirts, means there's a factory who is making buttons, means there's a factory who's making threads, means there's a factory who's making the collar that goes into it, means there's a factory that is making the labels, the packaging. All of that goes into the production of one garment, the shirt. And you can create jobs on so many levels, on even just producing one thing, the shirt. But is there any textile mill in Nigeria that will produce even the lowest quality? Because if I have the same machines I'm going to use to make the shirts that are 200 pounds for one, and the ones that are 15 pounds for one, it's the same machines. It's the fabric that is different, and then the finishing that is different on these shirts. But there isn't any factory who we can go to for shirting material to even make school uniforms. There isn't. So please, allow us to bring in what we need. We create the jobs, we get the momentum, we build momentum, and then maybe they will then believe in themselves enough to invest in the industry to support those of us that can already create jobs. There's some things that we cannot compete with the Chinese with, is denim.